In 2014, Hazur attended the Germany Jalsa, and whilst he was there, obviously it's part of Hazur's routine that he has mulaqats with MDs. There was one MD lady I met just after she'd had her mulaqat. She was in her late 40s, and it was the first time in her entire life that she'd had the opportunity to meet Khalifa Waqt. And as she walked out the Hazur's office, I said, how was that? How did you feel? And she said to me that although it was a wonderful feeling, there was one thing I wanted to say to Hazur, but I was unable to say it because of the fact that I was so emotional during the mulaqat. At that point I mentioned that I write a diary of Hazur's tours, and I write certain incidents or what I've seen, what I've heard. And then at the end of the tour I show it to Hazur and he reads it. As soon as she heard this, her demeanour changed and she started crying and tears rolled down her face. And she said to me that if Hazur reads your words, then I beg of you one thing. I beg of you to pass on this message to Hazur in your diary, which I could not say to him face to face. And so I said, of course, I will write down whatever you say. And she said, I only have one desire. She said, I'm a very unread, illiterate woman. I'm from a village in Pakistan. But I have one desire in my life, and that is that my young children are well versed in the Quran-e-Kareem and that they are regular in their salat. I said to her that I would put it in my diary, and I did so. When I returned to London, I gave the manuscript to Hazur before it was published anywhere. And as per Hazur's routine, he took it to his office, and the next day he returned it to me. And Hazur always puts some comments on the diaries or some corrections if I've made any mistakes. And so as I was checking through the manuscript, I came to this incident where I had narrated my conversation with that lady. On the side, Hazur had written quite a lengthy note with his hand. And he said that this was an extremely emotional narration and it has had a very heavy burden on my heart. Please call that woman and tell her that I've prayed especially for her and her children. And then later on I had mulaqat the same day, and again Hazur said, did you get my message? Have you called that woman? And I had not retrieved her number at that point, but a day or two later I managed to track her down, and when I called her and I conveyed Hazur's message, she just said, all she could say was Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. And this shows that the love of the Khalifa Waqt is not for any individual, for every single Ahmadi, wherever in the world they live.